All my clients come in with their own story, their own reason for why they want to do something like this. But Miss Shelly, I've been sitting on this interview for a while and it still inspires me to this day. She talks about her near death experience, her weight loss journey, and her boudoir photo shoot, and how on earth those three things could possibly be intertwined together. I'm excited for you to hear it straight from her mouth. We're going to go right into it. But I'm Andrea with Boudoir by Andrea Witt in Cleveland, Ohio. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to hear more inspiring stories like this one from everyday women just like you and me. This is my puppy's Moose. He's a good boy, huh? So let's talk about your boudoir photo shoot. And we were just saying before I hit the record how it feels like it hasn't been that long, but yet it also feels like it's been forever. And I think that when I have clients come in, like we totally do, we just get on this like friend level and I'm used to it now. I don't want to say I'm used to it, but it's always sad for me because I get to have such an awesome connection with my clients. And then after the reveal, like, that's it. I'm like, okay, bye,
Yeah.
so I feel like I get to have just this tiny part of the process, but you guys always like stay with me, like I'm
Oh,
always,
yeah.
I wonder what they're doing
I
now.
love all your groups, your Facebook and your Insta. Oh, yeah. I love them all.
Good.
So it's kind of a nice way to stay connected.
Yes, yeah. And that's like one thing for me too, is like I love having those places because first of all, I can kind of answer questions for people who are looking to do this, but then also having the ability to like stay in touch with people I've worked with already. It's so nice. And sometimes like I'll see a name and I'm like, wait a minute, who is this person? And I'll like click on it and it's because it's somebody who came in for like a wedding present and they got married and they changed their last name on me. So I'm like, wait, who are you?
Yeah.
So but yeah, I do love that too. So tell us a little bit about why you came in, just to kind of get that started.
Okay. I am on a weight loss journey. I had hit a point where I was sick of holding off my life. So much of my life when I was heavy had been, well, when I lose this weight, or if I lose this, or if I lose that. And I just got to a point where I was like, you know what? I need to be happy in the moment where I'm at. I was 45 pounds down, 65 from my highest, and it was time to celebrate. I wasn't at my goal weight, and I'm okay with that. I always said I can do it again when I hit my goal weight, have the plastics that I probably, unfortunately, will need. But it was just, I wanted to celebrate me. I was, like I said, sick of pausing life.
Yeah. Yeah. God, that just resonates so much. And I think like so many of my clients come in and they all have different stories, but there's similarities in specific ways, where it's just like the people who kind of come in before they're ready they have the
Mhm.
same feeling. It's like, I'm tired of putting this off.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when I talk to somebody, they'll tell me like, oh, I saw Boudoir, 10 years ago or 5 years ago.
Yep.
And something came up. I was like, no, maybe when XYZ, but it
Yep.
keeps coming up from them or for them, And so when we finally connect, they're like, I'm just ready to do it. And I feel like you have to go through the stages of being ready to like do it. You can't
Yeah.
do it before you're ready, but if it's something that you've been wanting to do that keeps popping up for you, just as like a universal law in life, I think that that's a sign. Like, just do it. You have to just do it.
Yeah.
The only thing you're going to ever regret is not doing it sooner. Like, truly,
Yes, I agree. The other thing for me was, as you know, I was in the accident and I realized that my body did a lot for me and I need to love and appreciate it every step of my journey. I'm 46 years old and I can't tell you I can't tell you if ever I looked in the mirror and was like, oh, I love myself. You get to a point where you need to just, be thankful what your body does for you and you got to show it love. This kind of captured that for me.
Yeah,
It was a truly special experience.
your story, honestly, like I remember I immediately texted my husband after your photo shoot and I told him, I was like, I had the most amazing session today. And like your story, just have those situations that happen in your life and it wakes you up. And I think
Yes.
that while they're traumatic, and I'm pretty sure we talked about this, like traumatic experiences that make you appreciate your life, your body, it gives you that wake
Yes.
up call. Like they're not fun to go through.
Yeah.
But
No.
without them, you would not have the same outlook. And you can never
Yes.
go back to the way that it
Yep.
was before that,
Correct. like I said, my surgeon said, "Oh, you're very lucky all your ribs broke." And I thought that was a strange comment. And then he said, "Because if not, your spine would have." At that moment, I really began to appreciate like what my body did for me. And then I
Kept you
realized
alive.
my relationship was so negative with my own body that just did this amazing thing for me. And so I think so many women have that negative body in their head. And then they also have that, oh, if I could just lose this or if I could just lose that. But if you could just stop and take a moment and realize, like, you wake up in the morning and you walk and you talk and you have all these abilities that you need to just appreciate and to thank your body for. Something, people are like, well, what does a boudoir shoot have to do with that? Well, you know what? It allowed me to take a step back and see me and my body in a whole different light. I mean, when we open the pictures, I bawled like a baby. I was like, that's me,
Yeah.
because so many times the first thing a woman does when she looks at a picture is rip it apart and how she can't, oh, I hate this, I hate that, or oh, you can't post that when I'm making a funny face, and when I opened yours, I immediately cried because I was like, wow, that's me. And
Mhm.
it was a different experience. It was probably the first time I've ever opened a picture and was like, hot damn, that's me.
Yep.
And I'll
Like
never
proud, like
forget
I want
your
to show
response.
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, your response to me was, I said, I can't believe you made me, like, you did that. And you were like, no, I took a picture
Of
of
you.
you. And
Mhm.
that still resonates in my head. Like, wow, that really is me. And so I realized, even though I'm not at the end of my journey, I totally appreciated that moment and I captured it in time. And like I said, I'll be back when I hit my goal.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
definitely, if anyone, I've told anyone, if you're even remotely like, oh, maybe I should just do it, don't wait. And then you can always do it again, but you'll get a whole new appreciation for where you are in your own body at
Yes.
that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe that. I think that like how you were saying, like, oh, I have this goal in mind and that's okay to stay with that goal and like to do it again. But like you did not do yourself any, disservice by doing one now
No.
either. Like if anything,
Oh,
it just
correct.
got
Yes.
you even more positive and excited about it.
Oh
So,
yeah, I was like, I wanted to show everybody, and I'm like, okay, well, I probably can't show your boss or your coworkers that are
uh-huh.
men, but I was like,
I
oh
guess
my
it
god,
depends
they're
on who
so
you
great.
are. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
correct. I do have some of them. I was like, look at this one, but yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it was an amazing experience.
Yeah. I love that.
I will be honest. I went in there terrified and left with a lot of pep in my step and a little
Uh-huh. Yeah. Everybody comes in nervous. That's pretty normal. I expect that part. So
Yeah.
I think because I want to ask you more about that, but would you mind like sharing us like a little snippet of your experience with your accident, just so people have some more background? Because I truly am so inspired by that. And I feel like it's such a bigger part of, I think, the whole, you know what I'm saying? Like you
Yes.
give this very brief description, but like really when you break it down, it's the bottom line of like tomorrow is not guaranteed.
Yes. So I had a normal everyday week. It was a Tuesday, and I had gone to the gym. I went home, I showered, I got in the car, I was on my way to work. And it's funny because a couple times along the way, I thought maybe I'll stop and get breakfast. And I didn't. I ignored all the little voices. I stopped. I was on 480 by the Independence, which everybody knows in the morning is traffic. I thought to myself, well, I guess I'm fortunate enough. I'm far enough from the curve that they can see that we're stopped. And as I said that to myself, I looked in the rearview mirror and watched a semi plow through my car. I was in a brand new small Kia Forte. I was struck by a semi going 60 miles an hour. I was trapped in the car and I was pulled out by firemen. Love them, thank you. And taken a metro where I spent 8.5 days. Every day was a decision between surgeons whether they were going to put bars in my ribs because I had a shattered rib cage, a punctured lung, and I have a permanent bruise on my heart. Um, I am very blessed to be walking and talking, and I do yoga and I work out with limitations. I'm only left with permanent nerve damage in my spine and a herniated disc, which does cause some daily discomfort, but I have found all the blessings in it. Um, my husband and I have been married for 25 years. We were not in a great place when the accident happened, but boy, did that change that. I mean, he spent every day with me by my side in the hospital, total new appreciation for each other. Um, I found out exactly what a strong woman I am because I had to fight to be able to breathe, and if you can't move your upper body, you're not really very mobile. So I sat at home for a while and just healed. And you get in your own head and you go through all these negative things. And it really is a battle to just pull yourself out of it. And it's been almost 5 years this June. And I can honestly say that I'm in a fabulous place. Um, I wouldn't do it again, but
Right.
I am very blessed because it has taught me so many amazing things
Yeah.
about myself. And like I said, my body. Like when I step back and look at it, I think, like I said, every rib broke. I mean, who's ever heard of I've never even heard of that. I didn't even know that was possible. But it did because it allowed my spine to not break. So I'm able to walk and talk. And so you really do need to just love yourself and appreciate the time you have and stop pausing life.
Yeah.
Don't wait till tomorrow or don't wait till I lose 5 more pounds. I just try my hardest to live my life and be happy.
Yep.
There's so many things I could be negative about, but I couldn't live that way.
Yeah. And even like part of like the healing process, I'm sure, like I know when I've been through situations, and I don't know if you can say the same for you with that, but like you do kind of have that time where you're just like depressed and you're like, God, this is my
Mhm.
life. And then you have this moment that you just snap out of it, I think. And you're like, no, I refuse to let this make my
Mhm.
life worse. I am choosing to use this as a lesson, and
So, yeah.
it's
My
like,
therapist stated to me that you go through the grieving process. You go
yeah.
through the grieving process of who you used to be. I
Hmm.
will be honest. There was a moment in the car where I knew I I used the term I gave up, which my therapist has corrected me. There was a moment where I let go of the wheel and I just kind of had one of those, Jesus take the wheel moments. And it was at that moment that, I felt guilt. For a long time, like, wow, you were so willing to give up your family and my therapist said, no, you put your faith out there, whatever that is, into God, the universe, whatever, and you let go of the old you and the new you began. And I
Oh,
always
I
see
have
that as that
goosebumps.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I see it as a moment of, because I'm not the same person I was five. I mean, that morning changed my life completely.
Yeah.
And, you just have to, what are you going to do with the new life? Are you going to sit at home and cry because you have nerve damage and you hurt and, or are you going to get up and say, I know I hurt, but I'm going to go and live my life and do these things. And that's how I am. And that's where I was in my journey. And I'm very thankful I got to meet you and do this along the way.
Oh my God. Seriously, it is my pleasure. Like, yeah, I'm so inspired by your story, like I said before. And like, even just you retelling it, there are multiple times where like I just get full body chills. Like, there's just so many things I feel like, you could go and branch off with that. But I think just you had to tell the story to give the magnitude of like what had happened to you, and like how do you can't go back to that person,
No.
like after it's like you see things with better vision, more clarity, and you can't go back to it once you see it. But I think,
Correct. It does. It changes a lot. It really does. But like I said, you dictate what you want.
yeah.
What future are you going to take? Are you going to take this experience and let it consume you? Or are you going to take this experience and make it stronger? I have a tattoo that I got after the accident, and it says, "With pain comes strength." And that's the one thing that I always remember is, I when people say, "Oh, it's hard," honey, I've done hard things. We can
Hmm.
do it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? You can do it. We're made to do it, and you just have that mindset.
Yeah, it's a choice sometimes, the
Yes,
choice to just push through and like not let it take over. Yeah, totally.
correct.
But I think it's interesting too, because like kind of going off that same idea of like that experience, it's like once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like, and you were saying, well, how would a boudoir photo shoot, you know, help you with your body image? And I think it's kind of the same concept. Like once you go in and you see it and you go through, you put yourself through that scary, intimidating experience, you tried another hard thing. And for most people, they'd be like, okay, recovering from a major accident is not anything like walking into a boudoir photo shoot, but like, you know, nerves are nerves. Like you still feel the doubt, you feel the concern, you feel whatever it is that you walk into.
Exposed.
Yeah, you feel vulnerable. You feel,
Yes,
and when you
it
see your
is.
pictures, you
Yep.
you honestly kind of look at yourself differently. Like I'm a different person,
Yes.
you know?
It's funny because when I saw the photos, not only did I appreciate how I looked, but it was funny because I felt like I could see my strength,
Mm,
and the one thing that so none of my injuries are, I don't have scars. I wasn't left with anything visual. So all of my PTSD and all of that is internal.
yeah.
And so it's a battle within myself every day. And so when I saw those pictures, it was like, wow, that is a strong, confident, kick-ass woman there.
Yep.
And that's exactly how I felt. And I didn't feel it at the beginning of the shoot because you're still getting those nerves out. And you were great because you knew I was. And you let us, you let me warm up. But it's funny because I felt great taking them, but you still have that, yeah, I don't know how they're going to turn
Reservation.
out.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then the minute you see them, you're like, oh, wow.
Yep.
But it is, you see like I said, you just step back and you see yourself. And the picture showed so many things to me that I hadn't seen from the outside and I hadn't felt in a very long time. So it was amazing.
Yeah. Well, if it's any consolation, like my version of you when I see you is I see a very strong, confident, positive woman. So, you
Well, I
know, just know
appreciate
that
that.
everybody else sees it, but now that you see your photos, you can kind of see it too, what we see. But
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess
oh,
I
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
am.
Yeah. I think like I said before, everybody comes in with like the nervousness and the reservations. And it's just one of those things where like with wisdom, sometimes the only way to know is to go through the experience.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in some cases that, you know, the experience itself in certain things isn't always fun, but you know, like nobody can warn you about parenthood enough until you actually go through it. It's the same kind of thing. So boudoir photo shoot, everybody comes in and I think for me, like I learned as I specialized that it's not just about knowing how to pose people and my camera settings and all that. It's knowing how to read a room and to figure out where my clients are and meet them there and get them
Yes.
comfortable, you know.
Yeah.
Um, I think
You
even
do that
showing,
very well, by the way. You
thank
do. I
you.
mean, I will be honest, after the initial, like, here's your hair and makeup, and then go in the room and take off your clothes or whatever.
Yeah, rip the
After
band-aid
that,
off.
yeah, right. After that, like, awkward 5-10 minutes, like the whole rest of the time was just like an afternoon with a girlfriend.
Totally.
So
Totally
you
agree.
had me, I mean, like, I'm not a drinker, but if I was, we would have been having champagne and
Yeah.
just, you know what I mean? It was like, it was just an afternoon with a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And it was, so you made sure I was completely comfortable. And it was, that's what I always tell everybody. It's like, you can't even imagine. It was just, I was so upset it was a surprise for my husband because I wanted to come home and be like, I met a new friend.
Ah,
But I couldn't say a word because
yeah.
it was a surprise. So I was like, well, I can't say anything. But the minute he opened the book, he was like stunned. And I was like, okay, can I tell you about my photographer? I love her.
That, oh my God. See, and that's it for me too. It totally is. It's that connection that you have or that I get to make with my clients in the studio. It's not something I can explain. Like you just have to be there, but it literally is.
Yeah.
Like this is corny, but I say it all the time. I get to have a girls' day over and over again with new people, you know? And
Yes.
so that's literally my job. And that's why after the reveal, I get sad because I'm like, okay, bye. I guess I'll see you later.
I hope you come back.
Yeah, come back, please. Um, so tell me about how it went with, giving him the album then. How did that go?
Well, so it was funny because my girlfriend was like, well, get the book and then maybe book a hotel room or something. So I laughed. I had thought about it, but then he told me he had to work that weekend. And I was like, oh my goodness. So it came in our mail, and the mailman, it was above my head. I couldn't reach it. So I had to call my husband. I'm like, oh my goodness, can you come and get this out? So then I was like, well, I might as well just let him open it. So I let him, I take it out of the cardboard box, and it's in this beautiful box. And he's like, this is my gift. And I'm like, yeah. And it is not something I think he ever thought I would do.
Yeah, which I
I
love
could
even
literally,
more. I love it even more when they're
yes.
not expecting it.
Oh, he was not. And I did a really good job. The day we did the hair and makeup, I took a couple pictures of it, and then I jumped in the shower before we got home because I was
Yeah.
like, I couldn't explain. Like, you could say you went to Sephora, but then they did your hair too. So I was like, okay. So I jumped in the shower. So he had no clue. I hid everything.
Oh my God.
And so when he opened the book, the first page, he looks at it and he looked at me, and his jaw hit the floor. And every page after, the smile, it was like that the Grinch's grin
Like
upon
it
his
just got
face.
bigger and bigger. Like, oh my God.
It did. It just kept, and I was like, and then my first thought was, I should have booked the hotel room.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God.
But oh
So,
yeah,
were
so
there any words
he was
involved or
stoked.
just a lot of smiling going on?
Lot of smiling, and then afterwards, the immediate, he wanted a hug and a kiss, and I was like,
Yeah.
it's the middle of the afternoon. That's all you're getting.
Right? Yeah, you better suck that
But
up
it
right
was,
now. Yeah.
it's
Oh my
yeah, it's my kids are older and don't go into our rooms. They're adults.
God. Right.
So it's on his dresser, and he leaves it there. It's closed, but it's a
Oh my
proud, it
God.
sits dead center on his dresser.
I
Oh
love
yes. It was,
that.
oh my gosh. Yes. And he was like, I had no idea. I did not see that coming. And I was like, are you sure? Because I'm thinking, did he catch on? Like, or did he see a pair of panties or something that he was like, well, those
Right.
are new, He
Yeah,
said,
yeah,
no, he
yeah.
had no clue. He was,
Oh, I
he
love
was
that.
so ecstatic. Oh, it was, yeah.
That's
And
so
of course, I sat there watching, staring, like, is he liking it? Is he, you
oh
know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And see, like my husband he's just not a man of many words. So like he could be it could be the best present he's ever received, and he would just not know how to verbalize that. Like it would be like,
Yes.
love you, thank you so much, and like so that's how
Exactly.
I'm like trying to read through the poker face. But yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, no, the grin and other
Gave it away.
body parts let me know that
Uh-huh. Give it away.
the book
Yeah.
was a hit. Yeah.
We got you loud and
Yes,
clear. You can't hide that.
exactly.
You might have a
Nope,
good
not
poker
at all.
face, but
Exactly.
oh my God, I love it. Yay. So I guess like tell me a little bit about like if you when you go to do your next shoot, wink wink, what would you do differently? And what is something, are you already thinking about like what you would do, bring all that kind of thing differently?
Well, I think at, this point, my main focus when I walked in was hiding the body parts I didn't like. And we did that very well because, like I said, I'm a work in progress. I do love my body, but, we all have those areas like, okay, well, we're just not going to focus on those. So I guess I hope when I come back, I'm comfortable in my skin, whatever, wherever that is, 100%. I don't want to, like, when I look at the photos, it's funny because I can remember the sequence we took them. And the ones that I find the best were at the end. And it was funny because it was implied nudes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because that was not at all something in my mind when we walked in that I thought I would, oh no, I don't want those. And those are some of my favorites.
I
And
love that.
I think it is because I got more comfortable with myself too at the end. So I think when I walk in next time, I want to be in that place where I'm not hiding anything. This is me. This is, I see some of the women that you take pictures of, and they, I've always stunned. It's all out there, and I want to be at that place,
Baby
you
steps,
know,
your timing,
baby
right?
steps. Correct. I mean, and like I said, I loved every moment of mine, and I liked the way mine turned out. But that was the one thing that I just, that's the only thing I would do different. And maybe then I would probably be a little more risque.
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
you
just crank
know,
it up a little bit, yeah.
Correct. The next time I do it, it's going to be a lot. Yeah, it's going to be definitely a book that's not going to be on the top of the dresser. It's going to
Mhm,
be
maybe in the
inside the
drawer,
dresser.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's pretty common, and that's why I always tell people when I mention, like, the sheet look, the shower scene, the implied, or anything like that, I always say, we save that for the end, because at that point, you're not nervous anymore.
Yeah.
And so there is like a progression of, you can tell in the very beginning. That's why I always say we started off really slow and easy, very basic stuff. That way you just get the hang of it. And then towards the end, you're usually like, you're already doing the things that I would prompt you to do, because you're so used to all of my little,
Yes.
do this and
Well,
do
and I love it because you can very politely, by the end, you know me well enough where you're like, okay, move your boob over a little.
that. Yeah, it's so funny to me how comfortable, like, I do this for a living, so I nothing, it's all normal to me, but it's almost like with doctors and they have terrible bedside manner. It's like I have to also remember that. So yeah, it is fascinating the skills that I've obtained, like, saying professionally and with love, hey, your side boob, or something
Yeah.
like that. Like,
Yeah. If you squeeze them together and lift them up with your arms, then I was like, wow, that's a cool
yeah.
trick.
Oh, listen, I know. And see,
Yeah.
that's like my favorite part too, because like, I get it that on a client's perspective, like, they don't know all the bodies that I've seen. And I know, like, when I see a body that it's just, I don't want to say they all blend, but like, I don't see bodies the way that like you see your body, like, I've never had a client walk in and been like, oh God, their body is, ugh. Never, ever,
Yeah.
ever. And so all the little tips and tricks that I have for my clients are things that I use on myself. And it doesn't matter what the size difference is or age difference, or, like, saggy boobs are saggy boobs. And I've got all the tricks for that, you know?
Yep. Exactly.
So,
Yes.
but yeah, I think, most of my clients, when they either if they come in for another photo shoot, or, when we talk about what they would do differently, most of them are kind of on the same page. It's like, I wish I wouldn't have been so hesitant in the beginning, because then I could have gotten more of this or whatever, but that comes with the whole territory of wisdom. You don't know until you know. So,
Correct.
sometimes clients show up and they're like, they want to do the sheet look, but they don't even want to take their bra off under the sheet. And the next photo shoot, they're like, I want to do the whole shoot naked. So sometimes
Yeah.
just like way more comfortable the next time. So,
Correct. That might be me. I'll warn you now.
and one more thing before I forget, because the train will leave the station, but you had said something like, I want to be in love with all the parts of me, or, because like with any kind of weight loss and gain, you're always going to have things that you don't anticipate. Like, I know even for myself, 100 plus pounds or whatever, like, I've got loose skin that will not go away without surgery, or, whatever else, like the bra size, like, those are things that, like, the scale is never going to change what those things look like. So for me, I think a lot of my clients will have those things where they don't like a specific part of them for X, Y, and Z. But when we highlight those other parts, it's also giving you a different perspective on the parts that you're not in love with, because you can see how they're not the main focus and the main attention
Correct.
we think they are. You know what
It's
I mean?
funny
Does that
because
make sense?
I know I on your Facebook group before my photo shoot, I asked a couple women, I said, well, what color do you do? What do you suggest for nail color or something? And one of the girls goes, I don't think anyone noticed my nails in the pictures. So I started
Uh-huh.
laughing. And, so I did it with my nails, of course, for me to make you feel pretty. But
Yeah.
yeah, I bet you if you asked my husband what color my nails
He'd be
were,
like,
he would
I
have,
don't know. Yeah.
I didn't notice you had fingernails. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I totally agree. Like I know the parts of me I don't like. And that entire book, I would proudly show anyone because the parts that I don't like aren't even, if they're there, they're not a focal point. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mhm.
So I was very comfortable that I was able to say to you, like, okay, right now, this is the one part that I don't like. And you were like, okay, got it. We'll work around. And I'm like, perfect. And we did.
Check. Yeah,
Yep.
I love it.
Appreciated.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I could talk to you all day. Let me see here. What else was I gonna ask you? Um, what would you do differently? Yes. Um, what stood out to you during your photo shoot? I think you already kind of said something, but I can't remember right the second. It was like, what is something that you'll never forget in the photo shoot? It just was like a core memory of like something that either a thought shifted or you felt a certain way or you let it go, or like what's one of your favorite memories from your session?
I just remember at one point, I think we were in the room with the swing, and I turned a certain way, and you were like, "Oh, look at you posing yourself, ha ha!" And
Yeah.
we started laughing, and you were like, "Oh, you got that look on your face."
Oh, I feel like
And
I
it was
remember
funny
that too.
because it was a total shift. Yeah, it was a total
Yes.
shift that I didn't even like, I didn't know, and then it was just like a, huh. So
Uh-huh.
it was like a, oh, yeah, it was a total change, and I just had to chuckle because I just was like, "Oh, how about this?" And you were like, "Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
You're posing yourself." And
Yeah.
it was like, "Oh, you felt the confidence and you were like, "Oh, like this?" Or whatever. But it was
Hmm.
that to me I won't forget because it was just one of those little moments in which the inner
Your inner
woman came
vixen.
out, I
Yeah.
guess is
Yeah.
how. Yeah, yeah, she was front and forward, and I
Yeah.
was like, and I'm a mom. Like I said, I'm 46. My kids are 23 and 25. So I've had kids since I was 21. So a lot of the sexy vixen hasn't been
Yeah.
there
Can I
because
get an amen? Can we highlight that for 10 seconds? Because like so true. So true.
yeah, you focus on your kids. And I mean, I'm not saying you don't have a sex life, but you're not in the mood to go throw on the sexy little outfit and the heels and do the whole production. And so it was probably the first time in a long time that I had that where I was able to feel sexy and feel like, look at me. And
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it. It just flipped like a switch.
Yeah. Yeah, like give
Yeah.
yourself permission to be that person or to do that. Yeah, totally.
Is that the husband sneaking in? Yes. I'm like, go
Hi.
on.
Oh, that's perfect. I feel like that is like a perfect spot to like end it with because, I tell people this all the time. Somebody will ask me like, have you ever had a client come in and they just can't do it? Like they cannot do the photo shoot, they're not posable, they're not coachable. And my answer is absolutely not. Literally never. That is why I have specialized. I should be expert enough to be able to pose people. However, I always say another corny joke. It's like, we all have those friends that are terrible dancers, but if you give them a couple of drinks and then they'll go out on the floor and they're like just so loose and having a ball.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. Some people just need a little bit of time to warm up, but when they do warm up, honey, it is like
And
a
it
light
and it
switch.
happens. Yeah. It and you don't even know it's happening. And then the next thing you know, it's happening.
Yeah. And
you
then
know?
sometimes it's like those people, like I'm just mentioning, like the people on the dance floor, they could have danced the whole time. It's just a mental switch. You can see the mental
Yeah.
switch go off and they're like, okay, I'm ready to unleash it. So that's my
Yeah.
comparison. Anybody can do this. You are not any different than any other woman you see in my
No.
portfolio. I promise you.
And my number one thing is stop pausing your life. You
Yep.
want to do this, love yourself where you're at and do it.
Yep.
And you know what? And if you get to a different place, do it again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was definitely a celebration. I know it was a gift for my husband, so don't tell him, but it was a celebration for me of me.
Yeah.
And I think it was an amazing experience. I definitely can't wait to do it again.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Not a
your
problem.
time.
Thank you.
All right, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to find me on your favorite social media platform at Boudoir by Andrea Witt, everywhere you can think of. Bye.